Ohio is one of the best defensive teams in the Mid-American Conference, guys. That's why I've got my eyes on Jill Morrison for Ball State. She can flat out shoot the basketball. Last year, really only a shooter, but this year she's diversified her game. She's setting up her teammates, also much improved on the defensive end. She's 5th in the MAC in assists, free throws, and three-point baskets as well.
Well, Jill Morrison last year when these two teams collided in Athens, 5 of 6 from behind the three-point line. She was second on the team in scoring with 19 points. Well, Ball State trying to take sole control of the conference standings tonight. It's the MAC's hottest team in Ohio. Winners of 4 straight stand in their way. As the Ohio Bobcats, we meet the starting lineups for both teams. The Ohio Bobcats have started the same starting lineup all season long, and they're 18 games now this season, 14-3 on the year. The Ball State Cardinals 9-8. Reshuffled the lineup a bit though, Connor.
9-5 for Ball State. I'm looking at Natalie Fontaine, 16 points on the year, also 6 rebounds. She's done it since the time that she's a freshman, all MAC freshman team, also second team Mid-American Conference. With those numbers, she's looking at another Mid-American Conference selection this year as well.
Look at Kiana Black. She leads the team in scoring for Ohio at 15.5 per game. She's had 4 20-plus point games this season, including last year. She had a 23-point game against Ball State, has a lot of success against this Cardinal team.
Brady Sallee and the Ball State Cardinals gearing up tonight for the Ohio Bobcats. Brady Sallee leading his bunch along with Shelby Justice, the lone senior on this basketball squad out of Rushville, Indiana. Ball State right now amongst a tough 3-game stretch against MAC East opponents. Started off with Buffalo on the road, then Akron on the road, and then returning home against Ohio. Buffalo was a team that was projected to finish first in the MAC East. Akron is a team that is the reigning Mid-American Conference champions, and then Ohio currently atop the conference standings.
Tremendous resiliency on Wednesday night. Tyler beating Akron. Akron beat Ball State 3 times a year ago, including the Mid-American Conference Championship. They graduated 4 seniors, of course. Rachel Tecca and Hannah Luberg were the spark plugs of that team last year, but Ball State able to overcome that adversity on the road in Akron for the 77-73 victory. And the good news is, after the game here, to close out this 3-game stretch, they get Miami, who's 0-6 in the conference season.
The Cardinals 5-1 in the conference. The Ohio Bobcats the same, atop the Mid-American Conference. Noah, this is an Ohio team that shoots the basketball especially well. They're
a very good shooting team, coming in at 42% from the field, 3rd in the conference, and they're the best in the Mid-American Conference at 3-point shooting at 36 per game. Look for them to shoot the lights out.
The Cardinals coming off the win against the Akron Zips, and probably, Connor, the biggest win of the season.
Definitely the biggest win of the season. Mentally, it does a lot for your basketball program. If you can beat that team that you haven't beat in 9 or 10 tries, that's what Ball State did against Akron. Not only did they beat a really good basketball team that they've struggled with, they beat them on the road, too. I think that showed that they're a legitimate contender in the Mid-American Conference.
The Cardinals led by Brady Sallee in his 3rd season into today's game against the Ohio Bobcats. Brady Sallee, 45 wins on his resume in his 3 years here to 41 losses, and he's really turned this program from a program that at one time was at the top, had a couple of dips, and then the introduction of Brady Sallee brought it back to life. Brady Sallee, the 2nd coach in program history to go to back-to-back WNITs. He's a graduate of Thomas More College, where he really didn't have much involvement with the basketball team aside from being a student assistant on the women's basketball team. He actually played America's Pastime on the baseball diamond.
Yeah, he came over from Eastern Illinois where he had his first head coaching job, and he's taken the Mid-American Conference by storm. You mentioned the back-to-back NITs. They were 12-4 in the conference slate to go to their first 9-9 last year, and they're well on their way to another promising Mid-American Conference run. Of course, the postseason success that he had stretches beyond just the NIT. In the Mid-American Conference tournament last year, the only team in MAC history to win 4 games in that tournament.
That's Brady Sallee, the head coach of the Ohio Bobcats. Bob Bolden in his 2nd year, 23 wins, 24 losses. He's a graduate of Indiana University down south in the southern part of the states of Indiana, 2003. And Noah Jody Kess, the coach of Akron and the longest standing head coach in the MAC, said he's really an up-and-coming coach in this league.
He started his head coaching at Youngstown State, where he took them to a WNIT. He's only getting better. He upgraded to a job here at Ohio, and he's leading one of the best teams in the Mid-American Conference.
Well, guys, if either team wants to walk away with a victory tonight, what's it going to take?
I think for Ohio, they've got to shoot the ball especially well tonight. Coming in on the road, they're 4-1 on the road, a good team. They need to shoot the ball well, and they need to out-rebound Ball State.
Ball State, they need to slow the tempo. Ohio, great on both sides of the floor. They like to play really, really fast. It'll be interesting to see how much Shelby Murder and Renee Bennett play today. Ball State's probably going to look to get quicker players into the lineup to combat the speed of the Bobcats.
The Bobcats and the Cardinals, the battle of the top two teams from the MAC West and the MAC East. Ohio is 4-1 entering today's game against MAC West opponents, and they're enjoying a 4-game win streak right now, which makes them the hottest team in the Mid-American Conference with 4 wins over MAC West schools. It's the Cardinals and the Bobcats. This is really a statement game for Ball State as well. Are they legitimate within the conference?
Well, I think the win against Akron showed that they're here and they're here to stay, but a win today against Ohio, I think they would make a very good case for being the best team in the Mid-American Conference. Both teams 5-1 on the season, both atop their respective divisions. Ball State in the West, Ohio in the East.
Both teams, this is especially important for Ball State to win this game. They got to protect their home court and get a win at home against one of the top teams in the MAC.
Well, the Cardinals have the opening possession in this one. Coming off the win against the Akron Zips. The first time the Cardinals defeated the Zips in Akron since 2009 up there at Rhodes Arena. It's Morrison into the corner. They run the weave up top with the guards, waiting for some penetration inside. Justice underneath.
I like the possession there, Tyler, for Ball State. They used all 35 seconds of the shot clock. Talked about slowing the tempo here today. They get a good look inside for Shelby Justice. She just needs the finish.
Shelby has struggled to shoot the ball, especially in the last 2. Ohio to the rim. It's Black, the 5'5" junior out of Columbus, Ohio. So when the Ball State has to cue in on Noah.
That's something that she's very good at, is getting the ball into the lane and finishing. Nobody stepped over to help on the defensive end, and it allowed her to get an easy left-handed layup for 2 points.
Black leads this team in scoring for the Bobcats. 6th best in the Mid-American Conference. The Cardinals' best scorer, Fontaine, spinning her way into the lane. It's Black the other direction.
Ohio's going to look to run in transition. They're going to try and get some easy buckets on Ball State in transition to not allow Ball State to get that defense set up.
Morrison, the open 3.
Probably not a shot that early in the shot clock. You want her taking a contested wing 3, set that up, try to work it inside and get an easy bucket.
Both these teams, very good shooting teams. Ohio comes in as the best 3-point shooting team in the MAC at 36%. Ball State 2nd at 32%. Fontaine underneath, steps around, and Black the board for Ohio.
You're seeing here early Ohio wasting no time, getting into the front court, outletting the ball right off the miss. If they don't get five players back, does Ball State, they'll run on them all day.
Good take by Lampkins in there. Drove the basket on the baseline. Nobody stepped over to help. That's now the second possession and 3 for Ball State, where nobody stepped over and played help side defense, and it's resulted in 2 easy Ohio layups.
The lob up top for Fontaine, deflected by Ohio.
It's something Ball State should look to go back to. Fontaine gets the start. No Bennett or Murder, as Fontaine, good length at 6'2", but also quick enough to play with the guards of Ohio.
And this is a lineup that through the non-conference portion of the season, it was Renee Bennett and Shelby Murder that traded off and on, starting at the 4 spot with Natalie Fontaine starting as the 1 forward for this team, as well as Kaylin Jose at a guard.
Miscommunication there between Ussery and Morrison. It looked like Morrison thought that Ussery was going to pick up the ball, and Ussery thought the opposite of Morrison, and it's an easy layup to the basket.
Ussery, one of the 2 that got shuffled into that new starting lineup once conference season started. Ussery, the 3, left short. And since that point, in those 6 games, this being now the 7th, Ball State has won 5 of the 6.
Ball State got the ball into Fontaine there, and I think if Ball State wants to win this game, they have to do that a lot. There's going to be a lot of height advantage here for Fontaine, bigger than anybody on the Ohio roster, and she got the ball inside and was able to get an and one opportunity.
Also checking in number 14, Renee Bennett.
It's Natalie Fontaine, the 6'2 junior at the stripe to complete the three-point play. Ohio out early by 4. Fontaine, the 13th best foul shooter in the MAC. It's kind of an unorthodox look release. Three into the corner for Bayard.
Well, that possession's on Fontaine there. She didn't box out on the left block. It leads to a fresh 35 for Ohio.
Ohio out in front of Ball State early, 6-3 over the Cardinals. This is Ball State women's basketball, and you're watching it on SportsLink.
We created a counseling program to help those living with HIV. I found my calling by tackling a global issue in my local community. It paved the way to Columbia University to study with Ivy League scholars. Ball State, education redefined.
Get ready, unsuspecting TVs and laptops in a UVerse home. We're about to compare you to Xfinity. When 2 HD movies are playing in a UVerse home, their fastest internet slows down. 2 HD movies in an Xfinity home? The internet stays fast because it's 2014. Hello?
Ugh. So last season.
Exactly. Fast never goes out of fashion.
And as the clock ran down, I sank the jumper.
And took the big trophy home.
And Aunt Jane.
I guess I did all right. But look at them. Great old coaches, Hall of Famers.
And Dad ran in the Olympic trials.
Your cousin played in the Sweet 16. And how about the College World Series?
That was awesome.
If only I can. You both can. I'm already proud of you. Now, who gets these?
Me!
The Mid-American Conference, generations of champions since 1946.
Ohio out early on top of the Cardinals, 6-3. This Ball State women's basketball on SportsLink. Guys, we knew coming in that both these teams extremely good at shooting from outside, but right out of the get-go, both teams 0 of 2 from behind the arc.
Well, the only thing that concerns you for Ball State is if you do live and die by the three-point basket, which they haven't. They have established an inside presence so far this season, but when they're shooting it well, they're a very, very tough team to beat. But if you can establish a presence inside, especially here today with an undersized Ohio team, then it's good. I mean, it means good things for Ball State.
Both of these teams are the top 2 teams in the Mid-American Conference in three-point percentage. Ohio 0 for 2 to start the game, but they haven't really needed it because they've been able to make an inside presence with some easy fast break layups.
There's the inside presence I'm talking about right there with Renee Bennett. She just got herself pushed too far underneath the cylinder, slammed it off the rim.
Morrison runs it the other way off the steal for the Cardinals. Really had a heightened defensive role this year for Morrison. She came in as purely a shooter, was second in the state her senior year in scoring, just under 28 points per game. Came into Ball State and was really just a spot-up shooter, but over the offseason really added some dimensions to her game, especially on the defensive end.
She definitely did. Improved her lateral quickness. Also worked on her strength. You can see that she's definitely noticeably quicker on the defensive end, and it's paid dividends for her.
Three-point basket there by Jenkins. Coming in, she's not somebody who really shoots a three ball well. 1 of 23 on the year, a 4% three-point shooter, but gets her first to go tonight.
She's really the only player on this Ohio team that struggled to shoot from outside the arc. Bennett with mismatch inside, trying to find her, but it's Fontaine.
She's so tough to guard, Tyler. We saw her a possession ago blow by her defender. Now she steps out as she gets a soft defensive closeout from the Ohio defense, and she can knock it down from 15 to 17.
Fontaine's been shooting the ball well here in the conference portion of the season, 53%. 51% on the season, which is 6th best in the conference.
Look for this full court press of Ball State. It's out there to speed up Ohio and try to create some turnovers. They haven't been doing a great job of making Ball State turn it, or making Ohio turn it over. This full court press is something that could add to that.
Offensive board keeps it for Ohio, and a deflection by Jose.
Jose, known for her defense, last year used mostly as a defensive specialist. They've really emphasized deflections this year with her. Her offensive game hasn't really come around yet, only 4 points per game on the season, but it's something she continues to work on, but defense will always be her strong suit.
How about her role on the team this year? She's tripled her minutes, went from 8 minutes per game last year, now up to 25.
Well, without Brandy Woody, also the loss of Brittany Carter, they needed another guard off the bench, and she's filled that role nicely.
Can handle the ball well, plays it well on the defensive end. Long, lanky guard out of Indianapolis. It's Justice, the three.
That's got to feel good for her to get that to go down. She went 0 of 12 from the field against Buffalo. She's 2 of her last 21 from the field, and she hits an early jump shot here to cut the Ball State deficit to 1.
And it's been 97 minutes since Shelby Justice had last seen a three-pointer go in, but the answer back by Ohio.
Yell with that three-point basket, an unorthodox release from her, but now Ohio 2 for their last 2 behind the three-point line, up to 50% for the game.
Bennett still posting up inside. It offers the cross-court skip. Fellas, that's something that's probably going to be open up all evening long between Bennett and Murder off the bench.
On the lob entry, Black went over on help side defense to double Bennett. It didn't matter at 6'5", the tallest player in Ball State history. She can shoot it right over the top of this Ohio defense.
Concern for Ball State entering was how many minutes can Renee go tonight, along with Shelby Murder, because of the quickness of Ohio. But if you can use it to your advantage, why not? Black from the corner off the offensive rebound.
Ohio starting to live and die from the three-point line. We talked about Ball State did that in the first 4-minute segment. Ohio was getting to the basket with ease, had created 6 easy points off a transition early in the game. But here lately, they've knocked a couple down, but that last possession took 2 3-pointers when it would have been an easier look to go around, try and get an easy inside bucket.
It's surprising the best team in the Mid-American Conference in shooting the 3-ball is Ohio, and Ball State's luring them to shoot from out there right now, going to a 2-3 zone on that possession. But what you give up when you play zone, fellas, is the ability to box out. You're not assigned in a man-to-man scheme to block out a certain player. You're assigned to block out an area, and it cost them there as Ohio got 3 cracks at it offensively.
At first, I was questioning that 2-3 zone for the same reason you were, because of Ohio's ability to shoot the three-pointer, but I think it's because what I just mentioned a little bit ago, 6 easy points off transition, trying to limit Ohio's opportunities inside the paint, so they went to the zone trying to force Ohio to shoot outside.
That offensive rebound, not due to the zone, that's just straight not boxing out and pinching down from the guys up top.
That was something they struggled against in the loss at Buffalo. Ball State's lone conference loss this season was the amount of offensive rebounds they allowed. Inside, Krista Backus, Kristen Sharkey.
Something they worked on throughout practice that week. They had a restriction on the rim for the practice squad. They couldn't make a basket because there was an orange cylinder inside the rim. Still Buffalo with great height, great athleticism.
That's when you know you're good. You have to put a cylinder on the top just to make sure you miss. 2 seconds to shoot, and it's Ussery, left it just short. Ohio by 4 to make it 7 as Black in and out. Rebound Ussery, who missed the 3 on the other end.
It's already 8 three-point field goal attempts for Ohio, 2 for 8 in the game now. They're not getting it to go. I know how good they are behind the arc shooting the ball, and it'll come back to them, I'm sure, but early on in the game, not shooting the ball well.
They're not bashful, are they?
No, not at all.
Both teams slow start offensively. It's Ohio by 4.
What you achieved in the past doesn't give you a right to anything. Honor those before you
whose banners hang from the rafters. Understand the hours, the pain, the sweat, the sacrifice. Are you all in? This is your time. This is your town. This is your team. It's time for Ball State basketball.
Indiana lawmakers have replaced thousands of paper documents with iPads. Ball State created a special app, and my team integrated it into the complex legislative process. My next step, one of the nation's top law schools. Ball State, education redefined.
Back to Worthen Arena where Ball State's trailing 14-10. Noah, looking at the rebounding column right now, Ball State falling behind early. Ohio, especially on the offensive end with 5 already, they're controlling it 13-6.
And that's the only reason Ohio really has a lead right now is because 5 of those 13 rebounds have come on the offensive side of the floor. We just saw 2 possessions ago, Ohio had the ball for over a minute total because they kept grabbing offensive rebound after offensive rebound. They had 4 total offensive rebounds alone on that possession.
How do you fix that?
I'm sure Coach Sally is over there on the bench right now talking to his assistant coaches with Rika Patterson and Ryan Patterson and Rachel Galligan, trying to figure out, should we stay in the zone? I think they should, because we saw them against Western Michigan. Actually, the last time we had a double dip on our hands inside Worthen Arena, a dominant defensive performance when they went to that zone, something that they've gone to an awful lot since conference play started.
And that's not the problem. The zone isn't the problem by any means. It's just Ball State's refusing to box out right now. Allowed 4 offensive rebounds a couple possessions ago, and that's not because of a zone. That's because you're not boxing out.
But definitely tougher to box out in the zone.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm just saying that I don't think that's a great excuse right now is the zone.
I'm sure Brady Sally wouldn't give you any excuses either.
The turnover by Ball State leads to a Ohio chance to extend the lead. Ball State trailing by 4. Morrison to make it a 1-point game.
Love the set there on the offensive end for Ball State. Jose set a pin down screen for Morrison to pop out to the right wing. She's just got to knock that down, something that she usually hits when she's wide open.
Nearly a steal for the Cardinals, but leads right back to Ohio. The zone that Ball State runs, it was an addition that they really started to emphasize at the start of the conference season. They resorted into it, and it can extend all the way to the full court length. Murder challenging the shot at the rim. But it also falls into that 3/4 trap for the Cardinals, and it's been fairly effective with this Ohio team so fast.
This Ohio team very fast and also can shoot the 3-ball well. I was concerned about that coming into today, but Ball State's defended, other than not blocking out on that end, pretty well so far against the Bobcats.
That 3 by Monaco there, that's the type of 3 that you want if you're Ball State. It was an inside out. You got into the MAC logo about 12 feet away from the basket and were able to drive and kick it out. You don't want those 3-pointers that are not in rhythm. A drive and kick, a perfect opportunity for a 3.
It's Harris driving baseline for Ohio and leaving it short. Morrison the board. A chance for the Cardinals to take the lead in this one. It's Ussery into the corner for Morrison for the lead. Left short off the side. On the wing, Harris, who came up empty on the previous possession. The 3 challenged by Murder. Shot by Baldwin. Off the back, rebound Jose.
That's the exact opposite type of 3 right there. Not an inside-out kick, not a post feed inside out, but just a non-in-rhythm 3-pointer that hit the back of the spring box.
Monaco, back-to-back 3s, it's off. Ohio still sticks with that 1-point lead.
Tyler, you're starting to see Ohio use the bounce a little bit more. Obviously a travel there, but if you can split those two guards at the top of the 2-3 zone, it forces the 5 for Ball State playing in the middle of the zone to come up. Usually you can dish down to a cutter on the block. So if Ohio can continue to split the guards of Ball State, it spells trouble for the Cardinals.
And that's the best way to get Ohio, or to get Ball State out of that zone. They've had a lot of trouble with it early on, but that's the best for Ball State right now.
In traffic is Fontaine to draw the foul. Fontaine already has been at the line now twice. This her second appearance.
Really lucky here to get the foul called. Kind of a bailout as she went off 1 foot and tried to fade away. They've been working a lot with her in practice about getting her shoulders square to the backboard, using that inside shoulder to shield defenders. That time fortunate the ref bailed her out and she's headed to the line for 2.
I don't think they've went through Fontaine enough early on in the game. Obviously, she has 5 points, leads the team right now. But right now, with the lineup that's in for Ohio, you should be going through Fontaine every single possession. Holds a big height advantage over anybody else, and she finishes well around the basket.
Ball State's trap forces a foul. Shelby Justice can't believe it.
Neither can Coach Sally. He's irate over there on the sidelines for Ball State.
Very animated on the sideline over there, and rightfully so.
Surprised the jacket hasn't come off. He's known to do that a time or two. I'm sure his dry cleaner appreciates that. He makes frequent visits.
Shelby last year against Ohio found herself in foul trouble. Only played 16 minutes in the start where she fouled out. Did make efficient use out of her time. 2 of 3 from behind the arc for 6 points.
You're seeing the pressure here on this possession from Jill Morrison, just how intense she is on the defensive end. She's really buying in to this new defensive scheme for the Cardinals.
Corner 3-2 strong, but the rebounding struggles continue for Ball State. Stinson.
Seeing Fontaine start to cheat up, playing in the middle of the zone to try to take away the splitting of the guards. That time it exposed a weakness on the wing for Ball State and an easy jump shot on the baseline.
If you want to beat a zone, that's the best way. Get the ball in the middle and in the short corner. That time a shot fake made the defender jump, was able to drive around her and pull up from about 15 feet on the short corner baseline. And that's where the weakness is on a zone, because there's no defender down there.
Lob up top, it's intercepted.
Well played by Weatherspoon. She fronts the post and she has help over the top, so she knows that she can gamble a little bit when she comes away with the steal for the Bobcats.
Baseline drive, Weatherspoon up and in.
Quite a sweet sequence there for her. Basketball runs in her family. Her brother JD plays at Toledo now, transferred from Ohio State. So she's had quite the competition in the backyard games of basketball with him guarding her.
Probably not the best shot by Ussery for the Cardinals, having to hang herself into the lane at around 14. Ohio it is by 3. Deflection underneath.
There was Morrison on the baseline. She cut it off as she was coming over to help, and that forced a quick give, and it's off her knee, and Ball State able to force a tie up there.
Ohio by 3. This is Ball State women's basketball on SportsLink.
6 Subarus before this.
We went around the country talking to people who made the switch to Ford.
From the time that we've known them, they've only owned Subarus.
You couldn't believe that I had gotten an Explorer. It comes with like 4 different traction modes, so as you're driving, you can shift modes as you need. The Ford Sync package is great. All the controls I can access here while I have my eyes on the road. I love this car.
Make the switch to America's favorite brand and get a Ford Explorer with 0% financing for 60 months, or lease one for only $299 a month.
Stoops Automotive is proud to present Ball State's only all-sports magazine show, telling the best stories in Ball State athletics. The Emmy Award-winning Driven airs locally on WIPB-TV, across the state on Comcast Indiana, nationally on Fox College Sports, and on demand at ballstatesports.com. Ball State Sports Link and Stoops Automotive, driven to be the best. Both of these teams coming in great at three-point shooting, but it's been a struggle so far. 2 of 10 for Ohio and 2 of 8 for Ball State. The zone for Ball State now has really been impressive so far.
It has, and most of that is because of Ohio's inability to shoot the three-pointer right now.
Ball State's zone exposed a little bit there with Byard, but also Witherspoon getting in low. They're starting to drive to the basket a little bit more, something I think they need to do a little bit more of against this zone, sort of expand Ball State, and then they can kick out to their shooters, and that'll get the three-ball rolling.
And the last 2 possessions you saw there was short corner drives, because that's the weakness in the Ball State zone right there. It's the weakness in any zone. You get it to the short corner, good things will happen.
Both these teams atop the Mid-American Conference in their respective divisions. Ball State in the West. MAC East division leaders are the Ohio Bobcats. In the battle for the top-tier team in the Mid-American Conference. And a foul underneath called out of the Cardinals out of the break. And the Cardinals trail by 3.
Cardinals, Candace Usser, her first, team's third.
Rebound comes down to Bennett and the Cardinals. And reluctantly push it with Jose.
Ohio comes up empty on that possession, but I like how they went in the paint 2 times in a row. You're not having a great night shooting the three-pointer. Try to get the ball inside, get paint touches, and get going from there.
Ball State trailing by 3. Trying to find Bennett underneath, but the help side defense too strong. That's what's open. Fontaine.
She's just so unguardable when she can knock down jump shots. Because like I said, she has the ability to post up. She can blow by her defender on the drive, and as the shot clock expires here, she can knock it down from just inside the arc.
Baseline pass by Bosinger. Seems as though when Ball State's at their best defensively, it comes right after makes on the offensive end.
Definitely does. It allows them to set up their pressure at times. Also out of timeouts when they can set up their pressure and then fall back into that zone.
Great drive and kick there by Yell. Got into the right elbow, was able to dish a one-handed bounce pass off. She's second the team in assists per game at just under 3.
Still trying to force it underneath to Bennett. Catches up top. Probably not the best look for Bennett. No, a falling away scoop shot, but nonetheless, she picks up the foul, Connor.
Byard and Baldwin are draped all over her, but at 6'5", she's able to reach her arm up and still corral that basketball somehow. But I don't think fadeaway jump shots are really one of the best parts of Renee Bennett's repertoire.
For her size, not a bad free throw shooter. It's above 67%.
Still kind of waiting for her to blossom. Of course, she came in last year, played right away. This year, she dealt with some concussion issues, but she's been great defensively. Of course, a rim protector at 6'5", but if she can turn the corner offensively and start knocking down those bunnies time after time, she'll be a scary player.
She's had her flashes at times as well, Connor. She scored in double figures 3 times this season. Probably the biggest one was the Bowling Green game to start the MAC portion of the schedule. Had a career-high 14, or tied her career high.
Well, we saw it on the other end when she went to the free throw line. If she can just keep her body under control when she's attacking the basket, people are going to hack her. They're going to foul her.
Great defensive possession there by Ball State, able to stay in front of the defender every single time. Try to drive the lane a lot, but move their feet, stayed in front, chest up, and was able, of course, able to cause a Ball State shot clock, or an Ohio shot clock violation.
These two heavyweights exchanging blows back and forth. It's Fontaine for the lead, but leaves it just a little short.
Really like that shot there as she's able to spin into the lane and rise off of 2 feet. Wasn't off balance, square to the basket, only 10 feet out. Go back to that if you're Natalie Fontaine.
Backdoor pass and the lay-in to Weatherspoon of Ohio. Morrison from straight away, and the Cardinals the lead by 1.
Fired late on the closeout, hand down, man down, and Jill Morrison makes her pay.
Missed her first 3-point field goals of the game, but that does not phase her. Able to knock down her 4th one, gives Ball State a lead.
Morrison scored in double figures against Akron, breaking a 5-game streak for the sophomore.
You hold your breath every time Renee Bennett goes down. Against Oakland earlier in the year, she took a nasty spill, hit her head on the hardwood, and had to come out of the game. But fortunate to see her hop up here and looks like she's okay.
Ohio has...
If you sign up for DirecTV's latest deal, prepare to be blindsided. Because they'll double your rate before you know it. And you'll find you're locked into a 2-year contract that could cost you over $3,000. That's why the smart choice is Xfinity. You can see all the best action in football all season long, with no surprises. Don't get blindsided by DirecTV. Call 1-800-XFINITY today.
Fox College Sports, CBS, ESPN. Impressive clients for college students. We write, direct, and produce our Emmy-nominated programs daily. We even designed our own virtual set. Ball State, education redefined.
Ball State has the 1-point lead, 23-22 in the battle of the best 2 in the MAC West and the MAC East as we pull up the conference standings. These 2 teams trying to take sole control of first. If the Cardinals are able to win this one, they can extend their half-game lead in the West.
Well, it's really imperative, not only in the division standings, but of course with the conference rules with the MAC tournament. It states that it's not only by division. You don't get a bye if you're a division winner. You have to be the best overall to get that #1 seed. And these 2 teams, foreseeably in the future, they could be battling out as the season wears on for that #1 overall seed. And that's also a double bye in the MAC tournament.
Not only is it important for both teams, but especially important for Ball State, because you have to protect your home court. Coming in at 5-1, a chance to make it 6-1, and then you travel to Miami, your next game, who's the team who's 0-6 in the conference, a chance to even push farther ahead in the West Division.
Well, in Central Michigan at 4-1, they're not going away. They have the best player in the Mid-American Conference with Crystal Bradford. The Cardinals will see them twice, so the schedule doesn't get any easier from here, even though you have an 0-6 Miami team on Wednesday.
And we seem to talk about how well Ohio shoots the basketball. They also defend it well. When they played Central Michigan and Crystal Bradford, the best player the MAC has to offer, 8 points.
8 points, unbelievable. We got a heavy dose of Crystal Bradford last year on SportsLink TV. They came back from down 19 points and took the basketball game to overtime.
Crystal, the preseason MAC Player of the Year. One of the preseason All-Mid-American Conference selections, Fontaine, who sets the screen for Jose. Down to 6 seconds on the shot clock. It's Jose who has to make something happen. Off the bounce, fades for it. The rebound for Bennett, and Morrison to spot it up, rolls off. The stutter step in transition, and Lampkins. Noah, your player to watch with the lay-in around Bennett, stepping right around her.
She's been relatively quiet tonight, only 6 points now. Like to see her get it going later on in the first half, into the second half.
Not much Bennett can do there. She was out there on an island with a much quicker player, and it was a blow-by and an easy bucket for Lampkins.
Morris on the shot fake, Bennett underneath. Just a little too far underneath the basket.
Great look by Morrison, though. She was able to take a dribble around her defender and find Bennett. Bennett was just unable to finish it off.
Bennett running the middle of that zone for the Cardinals. That at times has been really effective. Others, Ohio's done that. And the rebound inside to Lampkins, and Lampkins with back-to-back baskets.
Ball State would have about a 5 to 8 point lead if it wasn't for offensive rebounds. That's now the 7th offensive rebound in the game for Ohio.
Well, that's where Bennett has to catch the ball at its highest point on the rebound. If you bring it down around your waist, then shorter players can get a hand in it. That happened there, and Lampkin's able to finish it off on the offensive rebound.
Bennett posting, but the pass is too short from Fontaine. Lampkins to make it 3 straight in a row.
6 straight points for her. She's coming off of a game last year as a freshman against Ball State where she had 19 points in their only meeting. She's really getting it going late here in the first half.
I'd say you picked the right player to watch, my friend.
Lampkins, the 2014 All-Mid-American Conference freshman team on an Ohio team last year that went 4-14 in the Mid-American Conference. Connor, how did they turn it around?
Well, it started with Lampkins, 13 points per game. Also, the three-point shooting that we've mentioned. Lampkins is really a streaky scorer. We're starting to see her get it going here. She had 23 points earlier on in the conference season against Toledo. The 3 games since then, only 6 points per game, and we've seen her rip off 6 straight on the last 3 possessions. So a little bit streaky from Lampkins, but when she's hitting on all cylinders, Ohio is clicking on all cylinders as well.
And you could see coming in tonight, if you were Ball State, you had to be worried knowing that Lampkins coming in the last 3 games had scored in single digits. You knew she was due for a game like this, and lately in the last about minute and a half, she's went off.
Lampkins was one of 4 players rated above 85 on this Ohio team by ESPN's recruiting databases in high school.
Only a sophomore, pretty scary.
Put that in perspective, Ball State has just 1 player that was rated above an 85 in high school. That was Franny Frazier.
And their sophomore recruiting class is pretty good, huh?
I would say so. Both of these teams relatively young, rely heavily on that sophomore class.
Well, it's been a long time coming for Ohio fans. They haven't won 15 games in a season since 2007, 2008. A win today would give them that 15-win mark.
Ohio trying to close the first half strong into the locker room break. Right now, the 5-point lead. A chance to extend it with a 1-second differential, shot clock and game clock. Turn the shot clock off. Lampkins. Ball State a chance with Morrison ahead, 3 seconds. And the foul in transition, Morrison to the line for 2.
Useful pass there from Ussery, just splitting defenders for Ohio in the leak out for Jill Morrison. Just being able to have good court vision is huge for her. She's been able to create for her teammates after transferring from IU. 3 assists per game since coming into the starting lineup once the conference season started.
Smart play there by Morrison as well, noticing the clock down to under 5 seconds. Just smart basketball IQ on her part to leak out and try to get a transition look, and that's exactly what she got.
Morrison, the 4th best foul shooter in the MAC. 83%. Got them both.
We know Ohio can run, but Ball State showing they can run with them too on the Morrison fast break bucket.
Well, a Morrison transition lay-in brings Ball State within 3 in an entertaining first half between the best from the MAC West and the best of the MAC East. At the half, the East lead it by 3, 28-25 over the Cardinals. This
6 Subarus before this.
We went around the country talking to people who made the switch to Ford.
From the time that we've known them, they've only owned Subarus.
You couldn't believe that I had gotten an Explorer. It comes with like 4 different traction modes, so as you're driving, you can shift modes as you need. The Ford Sync package is great. All the controls I can access here while I have my eyes on the road. I love this car.
Make the switch to America's favorite brand and get a Ford Explorer with 0% financing for 60 months or lease one for only $299 a month.
The Mid-American Conference. We come from many places. We're as different as the games that we champion. But behind every great play, beneath every uniform, lies something even greater. Because the real goal is building better people. The Mid-American Conference. Sportsmanship for life since 1946.
Hundreds of real-world interviews at Ball State helped me realize the responsibility that comes with being in front of the camera. Society needs passionate journalists. Now I'm on air in DC with the whole world watching. Ball State, education redefined.
Today, the phone company is nickel and diming you. But tomorrow, you could be saving a fortune. Save on your home phone bill with Xfinity Voice from Comcast. Plus text from your home number and save on your wireless bill. Switch to Xfinity Voice with unlimited talk and text for $19.99 a month for 12 months. Or step up to an Xfinity X1 Triple Play and save even more. Call 1-800-XFINITY today.
Fox College Sports, CBS, ESPN. Impressive clients for college students. We write, direct, and produce our Emmy-nominated programs daily. We even designed our own virtual set. Ball State, education redefined.
Welcome back to Ball State women's basketball. The Cardinals trail the Ohio Bobcats 28-25 at the halftime. Ball State is led by Natalie Fontaine. She has a game-high 10 points. Ball State inducted 5 new athletes into the Athletic Hall of Fame, including former women basketball player Kate Endress. The 2005 MAC Player of the Year and All-American finished her career with 1,843 points to put her second all-time in Ball State's program history, to go along with 663 rebounds, making her one of only 3 Ball State athletes, men or women, to eclipse the 1,800 point mark and the 600 rebound mark. Let's go back and take a look at her glory days here at Ball State.
You look back on the history of what Ball State women's basketball has been, you can really look to Kate Endress as a real pioneer for our program.
Kate Endress earned 4 letters for the women's basketball team from 2001 to 2005 and was the 2004-2005 MAC Player of the Year. A 2-time All-MAC first-team selection, Endress ended her career as the second woman and one of only 4 players, male or female, in Ball State history to reach the 1,800-point scoring plateau. Her 1,843 points placed her second on the school's all-time scoring chart and 11th in MAC history.
She was a dynamic scorer, really a difficult matchup with her size and ability to face up, and at that time you didn't see too many people with her skill set, especially in the MAC.
She was the nation's academic All-American of the Year in women's basketball and was the 2005 Indiana NCAA Woman of the Year in her final season.
You can't say it enough that her inspiration to our current student athletes and hopefully future Hall of Fame inductees is just priceless. Her legacy is more than just somebody who scored a lot of points. It's more than somebody that was successful in the classroom. It was somebody that embraced Ball State, who we are, and even made it that much better. To say that we're thankful for her time here and what she's done for our university and program is something that we can't say enough.
Stoops Automotive is proud to present Ball State's only all-sports magazine show, telling the best stories in Ball State athletics. The Emmy Award-winning Driven airs locally on WIPB-TV, across the state on Comcast Indiana, nationally on Fox College Sports, and on demand at ballstatesports.com. Ball State Sports Link and Stoops Automotive, driven to be the best.
Dancing is my passion. I never imagined it could help children with autism, transforming their lives and mine. I've learned I can make an impact that will last a lifetime. I love to dance and was born to teach. Ball State. Education redefined.
We had 6 Subarus before this.
We went around the country talking to people who made the switch to Ford.
From the time that we've known them, they've only owned Subarus.
He couldn't believe that I had gotten an Explorer. It comes with like 4 different traction modes, so as you're driving, you can shift modes as you need. The Ford Sync package is great. All the controls I can access here while I have my eyes on the road. I love this car.
Make the switch to America's favorite brand and get a Ford Explorer with 0% financing for 60 months or lease one for only $299 a month.
Welcome back to Ball State women's basketball on SportsLink TV. Ohio leads Ball State Cardinals 28-25. Ball State men's swimming was in action last night at home versus Milwaukee and IUPUI, in which they lost by a score of 71-171. Cole Smith took 3rd place in the 50-meter freestyle, and his 400-yard medley relay team took 1st place in a time of 3 minutes and 28 seconds. Check him out in this month's edition of I Play For You.
Swimming. A sport that is unique from all others. It does not take place on a field or a court or with a ball. It takes place in the water. It is measured by time, not by goals or points, but fractions of seconds. It's not just a race against others. It's a race against the clock. A relentless push to reach the wall. As the water lies still, as my opponents sleep, my mind is churning. As I lose myself in the beat, that take place on the block. Speed and power are vital. My mind calms.
I'm Cole Smith, and I play for you.
Oh, you know what? I'm stuck at the office.
Hi, I'm moving.
No problem, sir. You can get your Xfinity services installed on the date you choose or have a self-install kit sent to your new home.
Thank you.
Finally get some help moving. Call 1-855-MOVE-EDGE today.
We had 6 Subarus before this.
We went around the country talking to people who made the switch to Ford.
From the time that we've known them, they've only owned Subarus.
You couldn't believe that I had gotten an Explorer. It comes with like 4 different traction modes, so as you're driving, you can shift modes as you need. The Ford Sync package is great. All the controls I can access here while I have my eyes on the road. I love this car.
Make the switch to America's favorite brand and get a Ford Explorer with 0% financing for 60 months or lease one for only $299 a month.
Stoops Automotive is proud to present Ball State's only all-sports magazine show, telling the best stories in Ball State athletics. The Emmy Award-winning Driven airs locally on WIPB-TV, across the state on Comcast Indiana, nationally on Fox College Sports, and on demand at ballstatesports.com. Ball State Sports Link in Stoops Automotive, driven to be the best.
Dancing is my passion. I never imagined it could help children with autism, transforming their lives and mine. I've learned I can make an impact that will last a lifetime. I love to dance and was born to teach. Ball State. Education redefined.
The Mid-American Conference. We come from many places. We're as different as the games that we champion. But behind every great play, beneath every uniform, lies something even greater. Because the real goal is building better people. The Mid-American Conference. Sportsmanship for life since 1946.
Back in here inside Worthen Arena, we're at the half. The Ohio Bobcats in the battle of the best teams in the Mid-American Conference lead at 28-25. Alongside Noah Reed, Connor Onion, Tyler Bradfield on hand. Guys, it's been a half for Ball State where they struggle to rebound the basketball.
They sure have. 23-14. Ohio owns the rebounding margin right now. They have to put a body on a body. I mean, you've blocked me out in the rec league before. It can't be that hard, can it? But Ball State last year, turnovers were really their downfall. But here today, it's been the rebounding margin, and they're an oversized team compared to Ohio. So it just comes down to getting a body on a body and blocking out the Bobcats.
We take a look at the halftime statistics with Ohio leading by 3. The Cardinals have struggled to shoot the basketball, not only from the field, but a little bit from behind the three-point line, but definitely Ohio, 17%. They're the best team at shooting the three in the Mid-American Conference, Noah.
Right, and if you're Ohio right now, you're shooting the ball fairly well from the field, 42%, only 17 from three, but you're shooting the ball well. You got to feel kind of not very good about yourself only leading by 3 at this point.
And they're not going to stop shooting those three-point buckets. You can expect the same from Ball State. You see Shelby Justice popping loose for 3 there. Also got to go inside a little bit. Renee Bennett established herself on the both blocks in the first half as well, Noah.
You see Monaco knock down a wide open 3 there. It was all because of the driving kick set her up, and then Morrison another one with a defender right in her face.
She struggled a little bit to get going, but once she finally saw it go through the net, she got her defensive game going as well. Here's Ohio the other way. They really started to drive the baseline and expose Ball State's zone a little bit. It'll be interesting to see if they go back to it in the second half.
Ohio at the break, led by Kira Lampkins with 10. Natalie Fontaine, 10 as well. With the Cardinals shooting 28% from the floor, and the Ohio Bobcats shooting 42. Well, at the half, it's the Bobcats by 3 over the Cardinals, 28-25. Second half is next. This is Ball State women's basketball on SportsLink.
What you achieved in the past doesn't give you a right to anything. Honor those before you, whose banners hang from the rafters. Understand the hours, the pain, the sweat, the sacrifice. Are you all in? This is your time. This is your town. This is your team. It's time for Ball State basketball.
Back inside Worthen Arena, where the Cardinals trail Ohio at the break, 28-25. In the battle between the two best in the Mid-American Conference, both these teams atop their divisions at 5-1, and really a measuring stick for the Cardinals. Are they a legitimate contender in the Mid-American Conference?
Absolutely. This team is tenacious defensively. They're also scoring the basketball at a high rate as well. So when you beat a team like Akron on the road, maybe down a little bit from last year, they lost 4 of their senior leaders from a team that won the conference championship, but still, Ball State continues to improve. Their youth continues to flourish, and the sophomore class has led the way. And of course, Natalie Fontaine, only in her junior season, helps as well.
As she has 10 points at the break, she's already into double figures, shooting the ball 3 of 8 from the floor. She's hit a 3, and she's been perfect at the foul stripe as well. 3 of 3, and she's kept Ball State in this one, Noah.
She has. She's played exceptionally well. When she gets the ball in the paint, that's when things are best for Ball State, especially with the height advantage. Get her the ball in the post and let her make a move from there, whether that's scoring or being able to kick out for an open shooter.
Fontaine was the second player rather, to reach 900 points by the end of her sophomore year, and she's already into the 1,000-point club as she did that in the season opener against Purdue.
Well, she has 200 more points this season. The record is 2,091 points in a career, and if she gets 200 more points this season, she'll be right on that pace, and I think she's got a pretty good shot to get there, averaging 16 per game.
Well, when you have 10 at the break, you're on pace for 20.
That's right, 20 per game. She can elevate herself, and of course, the way that Ball State's been playing in conference tournament play over the past couple of years, and also into the WNIT, she might have a few more cracks at reaching that 200-point mark for the rest of the season.
And 20 minutes separates the winner in this one between Ball State and Ohio. It's Frazier to the rim, but it rolls off on the scoop.
Nice job by Frazier being able to take it into the paint, got past her defender, and nobody for Ohio stepped over, allowed her to go up. She comes away with no points on the play, but for Ball State, that's a positive that they're able to get into the lane now.
Ball State soft pressure to open up the second half in the front court. It'll be interesting to see if they stick with that pressure and how fatigue plays a factor. Of course, we talked about Ohio liking to play fast, and the Cardinals haven't seen that type of speed so far this season, so can they do it for 40 minutes?
This was a zone in the first half that at times worked, at times it struggled. And out of the early get-go it works, but a turnover by Morrison puts Ohio back on the attack.
Ill-advised pass there from Morrison. She's averaging 3 assists a game, and she's created all sorts of opportunities this season for her teammates. but it leads to a bucket the other way for Ohio. Shouldn't have thrown that basketball.
It's Kiana Black with the 3. Had 23 last year in these two teams' meetings in Athens, where Ball State won 79-63. But it took her 23 shots to get to that 23 points.
She's been relatively quiet in this one. Only had 4 points on 2 of 6 shooting in the first half. You wonder if that three-pointer is a sign of things to come in the second.
Now, she's a little bit different of a player than Carmelo Anthony, but that inefficiency, taking 23 shots to get to that figure, it's much like Carmelo Anthony.
Fontaine off the side of the rim. 2 easy buckets by the Cardinals that have come up empty. Frazier to the start on the opening possession, and then Fontaine the miss. And Ohio has put their foot on the gas pedal early.
Starting to feel it from downtown now, and Ball State again consider getting out of that zone, maybe putting some more pressure out on the perimeter and denying those wing entry passes because they don't have a post-up presence down low.
The drive and kick here and the little screen that was set there by Baldwin allowed for the wide open three-point attempt there for Yell.
Kat Yell starting to field from the field over the last 2 games as well. She was 5 of 5, 11 points from the field against Northern Illinois. An absolutely dominating performance for Ohio on Wednesday, 67-40. They beat the Huskies. She didn't have double figures before that game since UMass on December the 20th, but she's well on her way here today for back-to-back double-figure games.
Well, Ohio on a 6-0 run to start the second half to take the 34-25 lead on the Cardinals. Very similar to Ball State against Akron on Saturday, rather on Wednesday. But the Cardinals, as soon as an 8-point lead sprung up for Akron, answered back 2 back-to-back three-pointers. That was in the first half by Joe Morrison, and then battled throughout the rest of the first half to then seal the victory.
Well, this is where Natalie Fontaine has improved as a calming presence in that huddle for Ball State. Of course, a little bit of a language barrier earlier on in her career, being from Stockholm, Sweden. But as she's immersed herself in this Ball State program, you can see it, you can hear it. She's become much more vocal, and I think right now she's going to calm the girls down and get them back on the floor. And a 9-point deficit is not demoralizing for this Ball State team.
Very good call by Ball State on the timeout there. Ohio got back-to-back three-pointers. They only hit 2 in the first half, come out and hit 2 in the first minute and a half of the second half. Great timeout call because it kind of slows their momentum a little bit.
Connor, I like how you bring up the language barrier. One, it's hard enough to communicate on the basketball court just as is, but with a language barrier as well, it makes it even tougher for Natalie Fontaine from Sweden.
Well, it's hard enough for me to sit here and talk English to you guys, and I can't imagine what it would be like for her to come over from Stockholm, Sweden, and try to communicate while also actively playing defense and driving to the basket and posting up. So really impressive what she's been able to do, and not only learning the game of basketball in America, because the rules are a little bit different. The European game, more of a team style, where she's been able to flourish as an individual here. And Coach Sally encourages her just to put her head down sometimes and attack the basket, whereas overseas, she'd be encouraged to find her shooters on the perimeter.
She had 10 at the break, but a 6-0 run by Ohio has prompted the 34-25 lead. The Cardinals trying to answer back. Jose into the lane, but stripped away by Ohio. Jose gets it back near the timeline. Morrison had the open lane, but decided not to drive and exploit it. Set feeds the high post. Black. Fontaine the board. Listed on the lineup as a guard, but really plays the forward. She can bring the ball across the timeline when needed.
She's no guard here today. She's posting up time after time and creating some space down low.
That's now 3 straight possessions that Ball State has looked inside to Fontaine. I talked about it earlier in the first half. She's somebody you want to go through on every single possession if you can. That doesn't mean she has to shoot it or score the basketball, but if she gets it inside, she's going to cause a double team, as you see right here, and then she's able to either go up with it strong or kick out to a shooter.
That leaves 2 free ones from Fontaine. You see the ball come off her hand, it always rotates to the side. Typically you want the ball end over end off your fingertips.
Looks a little bit like Joakim Noah shooting a free throw sometimes. He likes to spin it sideways, not quite as exaggerated, but still a little bit of a quirky delivery from Fontaine.
Ball State has extended that pressure to the 3/4 court's length. Trying to split the defense, but the lob up top is tipped away by the Cardinals.
Well, there it is again. Jose on another deflection using her length. Fontaine was beat. She was sucked up to the nail where the driver was coming, and then Jose recovered late and just got a fingertip on it.
Cardinals have prided themselves on deflections. They saw a season high in the St. Louis game. They deflected over 30 passes. Black on the drive to the rim.
Nice job by Morrison stepping in there, taking the charge. And Black this game has really been ineffective. The leading scorer at almost 15.5 per game, 6 in the MAC. You really haven't seen her get going.
Guys, you think she likes to play basketball. She always gets up enthused. She's always getting going in the locker room. You see her flexing her muscles there. She takes the charge.
When I played, I sanded around the perimeter, so I didn't have to get in there with the big boys and take any charges.
Sure you enjoyed flexing your muscles as well.
Fontaine on the baseline. Leaves it just short. Wants to reap the benefits, but doesn't want to put in the hard work for it. Take the charge underneath,
That's
Noah.
right. I'll stand out around the perimeter and shoot some 3 balls.
I like my health as well, so you won't find me hitting the deck ever.
The one time I took a charge in my playing career ended with a broken arm for me, so I thought better of it from then on.
Did you earn some respect, though?
I don't know, maybe.
I don't want to call you soft, but I'm calling you soft.
Foul called on the Cardinals on the baseline drive of Lampkins. Lampkins had 10 at the break. Fouls on Fontaine. Those two have emerged as the top players in this one. Underneath Lampkins again, but leaves it short. And another offensive board for Ohio.
8th offensive rebound in the game and 3rd now for Lampkins.
Cardinals trying to keep this one close. They trail it by 9. Seems as though every single offensive set here in the second half has tried to go through Fontaine.
Well, she's on their radar now. Help in every direction when she drives. You see it here.
Fontaine hanging and missing off the side.
Well, when help comes, you got to pull up and take a jump shot. Ball State fortunate to get a second opportunity.
Morrison steps into it. Foot on the line, it goes down as a 2, but that should help the Cardinals' case.
The lost art in basketball. The shot fake there by Morrison got her defender up in the air, and she was able to take one dribble to the left and pull up from about 17 feet to knock it down.
Ohio answers right back with the lay-in underneath from Baldwin.
Justice just a little late sliding over at the bottom of the zone in a quick release. Able to flip it up and in off the glass.
Well, that possession epitomizes Ball State's second half as they start to string a couple of plays together. A turnover leaves it back for Ohio in the 38-29 lead.
If you sign up for DirecTV's latest deal, prepare to be blindsided. Because they'll double your rate before you know it. And you'll find you're locked into a 2-year contract that could cost you over $3,000. That's why the smart choice is Xfinity. You can see all the best action in football all season long, with no surprises. Don't get blindsided by DirecTV. Call 1-800-XFINITY today.
Covering the Olympics in London as a student and seeing my work in the Chicago Tribune. That experience jump-started my career in New York City at Time Magazine and developed me into a true visual storyteller. Ball State, education redefined.
Ball State Sports Link is bigger than ever. The best stories in Ball State sports, live game production, award-winning studio shows, and more. It's only from Ball State Sports Link, an immersive learning production.
Ball State Sports Link's new monthly show, Driven, tells the best stories in Ball State sports. And now it is presented by Stoops Automotive. Stoops is driven to be the best online at stoopsauto.com.
Well, Ohio extending their 3-point lead at halftime to 9 now, and they've gotten the 3-ball rolling. We talked about how lethal they are from beyond the arc. Shooting 36% on the season, good for best in the Mid-American Conference, but Ball State also starting to get it going from the field as well with Jill Morrison as she steps inside the arc to knock one down.
You saw Fontaine there. She drew 2 defenders to her because of the game she's having playing well on the offensive end. 2 defenders collapsed to her. One of them was Morrison's defender, was able to kick it out to her and create an easy bucket.
Quite a sequence for Morrison. She takes the charge on the offensive end, rather the defensive end, then she goes down and nails a jump shot. Her confidence has to be sky high right now, as it should. as she's leading the Cardinals or in the top 3 in most statistical categories for them.
She struggled to start the game, started 0 for 4, but since then has knocked down 3 jump shots. Like you said, confidence got to be at a high right now.
Ohio by 9 in the 57th meeting all-time between these two Mid-American Conference schools. Ohio leads the all-time series, winning 29 to the Cardinals 27. Well, Ball State has won the last 2. Ohio threatening that streak here. Shot clock down to 4. It's Byard, and a foul called on Justice.
That's one of those where you're over there on the sideline for Coach Sally and you just want to pull your hair out because the shot clock is down to 1 second, and then a bailout as Justice has called for the foul, and it sends Ohio to the line. A great defensive sequence there. That's what I was talking about before, putting more pressure on the perimeter, not allowing Ohio's shooters to spring free. Ball State did everything except finish that possession there.
It's Byard at the line. 68% free throw shooter. As you take a look at the play that left Yamoni Jenkins a little slow to get up. Ohio has extended their lead to 11. It's the biggest lead of the game. Then it reverses. It's Morrison. Swing it back around with 9 seconds to shoot. Monaco coming off 6 points against Ohio. Down to 5 to 3. Fontaine on the drive, and a shot clock violation.
That entire possession, you saw Fontaine out around the three-point line. Coming in tonight, she's only shooting 11%, 1 of 9 from three-point land on the season. You'd like to see her get in the post more and create a presence inside. If she's out around the perimeter, you don't have to pay as close of attention to her.
Very similar possessions for both teams offensively. The last 2 trips down, using all 35 seconds. Great defense being applied by both teams.
The break by Yell. Baseline drive, Yell, contact, embodying fouls called.
Had a chance to see Yell play in high school at Geneva in the Montini Holiday Classic, and she was not bashful in pulling up from about 30 feet. We're seeing her get inside today a little bit. She's already knocked down 1 from the perimeter, but also an underrated part of her game is driving to the basket, and she picks up the foul against Ball State.
She was Geneva's all-time leading scorer in high school. Kat Yell, the 5'7" redshirt junior.
Chance I got to see her. I think she poured in about 35 of those points that allowed her to be Geneva's leading scorer all time.
Byard spots up for 3 and rattles it home.
That's making something out of nothing there on that Ohio possession. Ball State created a deflection, looked like it was going to be a turnover, but instead Ohio was fortunate to grab the ball, kick it out, wide open 3.
Well, we talk about how Ball State has to look out for Yell on the perimeter, and then Byard makes them pay because they were paying attention to Yell, who had just drove into the paint a few moments ago.
It's Bennett posting underneath, but the lob up top poked out of bounds by Ohio.
Really the X factor today kind of has been Weatherspoon. She's been setting screens on the offensive end, also fronting the big post players for Ball State. And she's given up some size, so she's not getting it done in the stat column. She's not going to score a lot of points, but she'll do the dirty work for the Bobcats.
6 to shoot. It's Frazier on the move with 3. She grabs her own offensive rebound, though, and re-attacks against Ohio. Drops it off for Fontaine. The foul, though, puts Fontaine at the stripe.
Just a desire there from Frazier to track down her own offensive rebound between 2 defenders and then to slip it inside for Fontaine. Well played there from Frazier.
That puts Fontaine back at the stripe, coming off 25 points against Akron. Had 10 at the break.
See the inside slip here from Frazier. She's really played bench minutes, even though she started the last 16 games, only averaging 14 per game, but we've seen her play an increased role here today, perhaps to combat the speed of Ohio.
8th on the team in minutes, although she has started now the past 7 games. Played the least minutes of any Cardinal that saw action in Akron with 10. Lampkins the cross-court skip, teeing up the 3. is Bosinger, and a foul is called on Frazier.
Well, that's the old Reggie Miller leg kick there as she extends her legs inside the arc to get Frazier to commit the foul on her.
Something you're always taught, never foul a three-point shooter. You can get up there and contest it, jump, get a hand in her face, but by goodness, do not foul her on a three-point attempt.
I'll bring up the fact that she pulled the Reggie Miller there. She's kind of streaky, just like Reggie. 9 points in 8 seconds, of course, is what he's famous for. And she's been similarly streaky in the first game against Murray State of the season. 25 points. She followed that up with 5 total in the next 2. She also went through another stretch this season where she went 8 games with no more than 4 points, and then look out, all of a sudden she goes for 18, so she can light it up in a hurry.
I think it's worth mentioning in that Murray State game, 8 of 10 from behind the arc.
Not bad.
I'd certainly take those numbers. I don't know if Noah would, though.
Yeah, absolutely I would. Great numbers.
He'd be too busy flexing his muscles trying to take a charge.
Offense, or rather foul called on Ohio on the screen, where Bennett went hard to the deck. It's on Bosinger. You can see the screen there. That left Renee falling to the floor. The Cardinals trailing by the biggest deficit of the game, 15. They want to fight their way back into this one. You would think it'd have to go through Jill Morrison and Natalie Fontaine, the team's top 2 scorers. Monaco open baseline.
That's just all desire right there for Franny Frazier. You see her dive into the sideline over here on press row to get that hustle rebound. And then that time on the second opportunity for the rebound, she gets fouled going after the basketball. It's all because she just wants the ball more.
Bennett misplays the lob up top and the jump ball. Ohio basketball.
Well, that's one of her areas for improvement, is catching the basketball. First things first, just hand-eye coordination for her at 6'5". Of course, you're going to throw it up top for her, but you got to catch the ball. She needs to bring out the inner Randy Moss in her and go up and catch the basketball before she can attack the basket.
It's Yell who's handled the pressure of Ball State's defense well throughout the course of the evening. Run to the point, she knifes her way down the middle of the lane, and a foul is called on Frazier.
Well, there's Weatherspoon getting to the line. She's getting rewarded now for all the screening and creating space for her teammates, and also her defensive effort today.
Ohio by 15, 45-30.
What you achieved in the past doesn't give you a right to anything. Honor those before you, whose banners hang from the rafters. Understand the hours, the pain, the sweat, the sacrifice. Are you all in? This is your time. This is your town. This is your team. It's time for Ball State basketball.
Indiana lawmakers have replaced thousands of paper documents with iPads. Ball State created a special app, and my team integrated it into the complex legislative process. My next step, one of the nation's top law schools. Ball State, education redefined.
And a 15-point lead for the Ohio Bobcats in the battle of the best teams in the Mid-American Conference. Both teams atop their respective divisions, but both of these teams extremely young. As you look at the graphic on the left side, Ohio with 8 underclassmen, Ball State with 7. Ball State with 70% of the roster that still has just as much time in their Cardinal and white as they have already spent here at Ball State.
Well, a lot of times it's about quality, not quantity. Ball State, of course, you compare the two sophomore classes for each of these teams. 7 for Ohio, 4 for Ball State. I give the edge to Ball State just because of how much input that they've had from both Jill Morrison, Kaylin Jose defensively. Of course, Renee Bennett, still a little bit of a project, but she's still been able to produce. And of course, Shelby Murder in her effort sort of filling the void that Katie Murphy left a season ago due to graduation.
If that shows you anything right there, these are the 2 best teams in the Mid-American Conference, yet only 1 senior apiece on each of these teams. As bright as the present is for these 2 teams, you got to look at the future, and you got to see all the underclassmen that each team have. The future's bright as well.
Well, after years of agony for Ohio, it seems like not only going to win now, but they have a bright future ahead of them, as you guys mentioned. So should be fun in the next couple of years to see these 2 teams in cross-conference battles.
Enjoying their best season as Ohio since 1986. Can't yell out high, a redshirt junior from Geneva, Illinois. The three's off by Black. Ussery the board. This leads to a break, and Fontaine to the rim.
Ball State needs to do that exactly right there. Speed up Ohio, and off of their long misses, get the ball in the hands of Morrison, and then get the ball up to Fontaine.
Well, that's what I was talking about right there with Natalie Fontaine earlier with body position when she attacks the basket. She ducks her inside shoulder to shield the defender, and she has a clear path to the basket.
The miss by Black, the board by Bennett, and Ball State with a chance to cut into the deficit. Was at one point as many as 15. Fontaine goes to work. Monaco, the 3 and through!
You asked me during the last segment, Tyler, how Ball State could get back into this game. You have to chop it into segments. We talked about how this is a 3-game segment of the season for Ball State. You also have to do that in-game as well. And you chop it into media timeout segments. If you win this one, win the next one, and then the final one, you give yourself a pretty good chance to win the game.
Well, the Cardinals trying to put as many shooters on the floor right now, putting Shelby Murder at stretch 4. That can step out and shoot the 3 for her 6'3" frame.
That's the great thing about having Natalie Fontaine down low. Every time she catches in the post now, she's seeing a double team senator. That means somebody's open on the perimeter for an open jump shot.
Ball State has cut into the deficit. It's down to 10, trying to make it a single-digit deficit.
Exactly what you were talking about, Tyler. Ball State started in the offensive set with everybody above the free throw line, trying to stretch Ohio's defense.
Monaco, the 3 hit in once again!
There it is, stretching the Ohio defense. You drive into the lane, you kick out for a shooter in Monaco, and she's 2 for her last 2.
And a timeout taken by Bob Bolden with Ohio in trouble in the backcourt.
30-second timeout.
And the Bobcats once lead of 15 is now down to 7.
Well, this is when you get into a situation out of the timeout where Ball State can press again. You already saw Ohio start to cough it up. Ball State shooters getting warmed up, including Mariah Monaco, and she's streaky as well. She has 3 games in double figures this season. She went for 13, 11 earlier on, late in the non-conference season, so they can continue to feed her. She's feeling it right now. You also get Shelby Murder into the game, who can step out and shoot it as well.
This offense is all building off of the defense. Ball State has put that full court pressure back on, and you see right there it caused Ohio to call a timeout. They caused 2 turnovers in the last 2 minutes of this game, and it's all because of that defense, which is allowing the offense to continue to play.
Ball State extending that pressure. Lampkins. Black tries the 3. And the rebound comes down for the Cardinals. But then it's Frazier getting ahead of herself with the travel.
Rushed that time offensively for Ohio. Almost a perfect scenario for Ball State. As Ussery and Frazier came to trap. Once the ball handler turns her back in the corner and you come to trap, that can create all sorts of problems and eventually lead to a turnover likely.
Lampkins defended by Frazier. Black, who's tried the last couple corner 3s. Baseline drive, it's Byard. And a travel's called.
Nice job by Natalie Fontaine. She came over from help side, was able to get out of the semicircle in the paint, which is able to take a charge. She just stood strong and caused Bayard to lose her footing.
The lead is down to 7 for the Bobcats. Ball State wants to slow it up. Worthen Arena falls silent. Fontaine goes to work against Black, scoops it up and in. The lead is 5.
About as unorthodox a shot as you'll see. We talked about her free throw in the backspin, or side spin rather, that she puts on it. She just scooped that up from her knees and somehow kissed off the window.
And a 10-second violation on the Ohio Bobcats. Just a 2-year-old addition to the women's basketball game, the 10-second rule into the backcourt.
You can really feel the momentum starting to turn as the players are getting pumped up, the crowd's starting to get into it. We're in for an exciting finish if Ball State can continue to put Ohio underneath this tenacious pressure.
Ohio by 5. It's been Ball State on a 10-0 run. Ussery tries the 3, too strong.
Top would have blew off this place if that went down.
Black tries the 3 from the wing, and it's off. Ussery nearly tracks down that board.
She's not usually somebody that you want shooting the ball, leading the team in scoring at 15.5 per game. But by all means, keep letting her shoot it if you're Ball State right now.
Well, this is where the speed can hurt Ohio. They built up a 15-point lead, and because they like to play so fast and get shots early in the shot clock, it leads to opportunities for Ball State if they can force misses and grab the rebound to go the other way and come back in a hurry.
Usually I would say the transition game would be in favor of Ohio, but here lately they're the ones that need to be slowing it down because Ball State's able to run out in transition and get layups.
Lampkin stripped on the drive by Monaco. Ball State trying to make this a one-possession game with a 3. It's Ussery into the lane. You can count the foul with it. The and 1 by Candace Ussery, and the Cardinals are within 3 of the Bobcats, 45-42. This Ball State basketball on SportsLink.
Stoops Automotive is proud to present Ball State's only all-sports magazine show, telling the best stories in Ball State athletics. The Emmy Award-winning Driven airs locally on WIPB-TV, across the state on Comcast Indiana, nationally on Fox College Sports, and on demand at ballstatesports.com. Ball State SportsLink and Stoops Automotive, driven to be the best.
Dancing is my passion. I never imagined it could help children with autism, transforming their lives and mine. I've learned I can make an impact that will last a lifetime. I love to dance and was born to teach. Ball State. Education redefined.
We had 6 Subarus before this.
We went around the country talking to people who made the switch to Ford.
From the time that we've known them, they've only owned Subarus.
He couldn't believe that I had gotten an Explorer.